Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the Cherry Hill Board of Education meeting on June 22nd, 2021. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Publics Meeting Act has been given by the Board Secretary on June 16th, 2021 in the following manner. Posted notice on the school bulletin board at the Administration Building, transmitted to the Courier Post, Philadelphia Inquirer, and the Clerk of Cherry Hill Township. Okay, will you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mrs. Sugars?
Mrs. Arroyo, Mrs. Stratton. Here. Ms. Friedel. Mrs. Matlack.
Here.
Mr. Abadia.
Here.
Mrs. Schultz.
Here.
Ms. Stern.
Here.
Mrs. Tong. Mrs. Neary.
Here. Okay, next we have approval of minutes. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following: 5.1, approval of minutes, board work session, special action meeting minutes, and executive session minutes dated May 11, 2021. 5.2, approval of minutes, special meeting, executive session, and executive session minutes dated May 19, 2021. And 5.3, approval of minutes, regular meeting minutes, and executive session minutes dated May 25th, 2021. Do I have a second? Mr. Ovadia. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Okay, the online voting has been opened up, so board members, you may cast your votes. And we have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mrs. Sugars. Next, we have board recognition, so I will turn it over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Mrs. Neary. I'll just get myself situated here with the right people in. Thank you, Mrs. Neary. So I'm very excited that the board has the opportunity this evening to recognize 3 of our spring sports teams. It was very exciting, even with the changes and the impact that the pandemic had on our sports during the course of the year. We had a very successful spring season. So this evening we'll be honoring 3 of those sports teams: the West girls varsity lacrosse team, the East boys varsity track team, and the East boys varsity tennis team. And first joining us this evening is the coach of the West girls lacrosse team, Miss Melissa Kirkpatrick. Not only is she the coach of the lacrosse team, she's also the proud mother of a very beautiful brand new little girl who was born at the end of May. Kaylee Catherine Kirkpatrick was born on May 27th. So congratulations to Melissa. And I'm going to turn it over to Melissa to give some highlights of the season. Melissa.
Thank you, Mr. Malash. Hi, thank you so much for having me tonight and our recognizing our program. I really appreciate it, and happy to be here. Our season this year, very, very difficult, obviously with COVID, but we had some challenges with injuries and just having people on the field and different scares and stuff, but I was really proud of the girls and how they stuck through it. Our season record was 14-4 this year. We actually made it to sectional finals or sectionals for states. It is our 4th year in a row, minus last year. We also have ended up as the Patriot Division champions for the Olympic Conference, which is really, really a big deal. Tough teams that we went across, that we came across, and we did a good job and won the conference out. So we were excited about that. A ton of career milestones for my program this year. Lots of career first for us and team first. So a couple things I just wanted to roll off. Jenna Casol ended up with 100 career goals and 100 career assists. That's pretty significant. Emily Hazel had 100 career draw controls. Sophia Grafeo had 200 career goals for the program. Maria Spiato, 100 career goals. Emily Hazel, 100 draw control. I'm sorry, Jenna Casol, 100 draw controls as well. And then both Sophia Grafeo and Emily Hazel sent program history with their goals, and then also draw controls for Emily Hazel. So lots of staggering numbers for us this year. We really put out a nice performance. The team together had a number of program firsts, or it was our first win against Shawnee in program history, first win against Seneca in program history, Washington Township and Eastern. It was our first time beating any of those teams. So very, very, very exciting. Lots of recognition from the All South Jersey coaches. We had 7 kids put up for all conference honors. We had 2 defenders, first team all conference, Naomi Aristone and Michaela Guardo. Attack, first team, Sophia Grafea, Jenna Casol, and midfield, Emily Hazel. 2 second team nominations, recipients, Maria Spiato for attack and midfield, a freshman for us, Sophia Levine. And then we had 4 all South Jersey honors. 1 first team all South Jersey, Jenna Casol. That means they consider her one of the top 4 attackers in all South Jersey. We also had a second team all South Jersey defender. That means she's one of the top 8 defenders in all South Jersey, Naomi Aristone. And we had 2 honorable mentions, Emily Hazel and Sophia Grafeo, which for us, just getting one all South Jersey player is excellent for us. We had 4 this year, which is fantastic. And then our first ever in program history All-American player in Jenna Casol, which is, again, a huge, humongous honor. It's not only all South Jersey coaches that vote on that, it's actually South and Central coaches, all South and Central New Jersey coaches that vote on that. So huge honor to be recognized for Jenna Casol for that and our program for that. So just lots of things. I'm really proud of this team and what we put out this year. Hopefully more to come, but lots of program first, lots of career milestones, and a great performance. So thank you again for this honor and letting me speak. And that's it.
Thank you, Melissa. Melissa, we have certificates for each one of the girls. I'm going to read out their names. We will get these to the girls. Congratulations to you. Thank you to you and your assistant coaches for all that you did this year, for what you've done through the years to build the program. And again, congratulations on Kaylee. I've seen pictures of her. She's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoy every minute with her.
I will try to.
Victoria High School West girls varsity lacrosse team Olympic Conference National Division champions, Mia Abrazino, Becca Armstrong, Abigail Leparati, Sophia Levine, Ava Hawk, Carolyn Kirk, Mia Zaris, Naomi Aristone, Hannah Armstrong, Emily Hazel, Ava Leparati, Cara Malin, Mackenzie Redmond, Michaela Aguardo, Jenna Casol, Sophia Grafeo, Sarah Kim, Madeline Orfisi, Maya Ramadi, and Maria Spiato. So congratulations to all the girls. And again, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you so much.
All right, next is our East Boys varsity track team. And I know that Mr. Brown, who's our director of athletics, is also listening. A special thank you to him for all that he did throughout the last year to keep athletics going and to be done in a safe and responsible manner. Mr. Maniscalco, Anthony Maniscalco, who's a teacher at High School East, is also the head boys spring track coach. He was unable to join us this evening, but some highlights from the boys track team spring season. Boys track team returned from a year off with the most successful season in 4 years, winning the Olympic Conference American Division by sweeping the competition 4-0. 6 athletes advanced to the championship level meets. Aiden Groff in the 3200, Gabe Rodriguez in the 3200, Dylan Page in the high jump, Noah Kreisman in the pole vault, Joba Akay in the intermediate hurdles, and Philip True in the high hurdles. Noah Kreisman and Aiden Groff finished in the top 5 at the NJSIAA Meet of Champions, which takes all the top kids from all the different levels of high schools from across the state in the Meet of Champions. And then Dylan Page, so student at High School East, jumped an astounding 6 feet 6 inches, and he finished in first place in the Meet of Champions high jump. Dylan is the New Jersey Group 4 state champion and the Meet of Champions champion. He is the best high jumper in the state of New Jersey. So congratulations to the Cherry Hill High School East Spring Boys track team. Special congratulations to the boys who made it on into those next level meets, and to Dylan, who was Meet of Champions. So I'm going to read off the boys' names from the team, and again to the guys who are watching or family members, we have certificates for you that we will get out to you. Joshua Davis, Jordan Kaminsky, Trey Shaw, Ethan Smith, Kevin Tishy, Caleb Unterlach, Pete Cudahy, Joba Kay, Jordan Grossman, Bryce Hunter, Ken Komatsu, Noah Kreisman, Dylan Page, Noah Parker, Jack Relosa, Alan Zhang, Philip True, Alex Young, Alan Zhang, Mustafa Fall, Ben Appel, Rohan Arij, Guy Barr, Ruben Billion, Aiden Donahue, Ethan Farber, Robert Fleischer, Chase Lufkin, Scott McGurlin, Daniel Ovid, Kyler Petrie, Colin Priest, Alex Smith, Aiden Sweeney, Ethan Anderer, Mason Balicki, Jacob Cheng, Aiden Iyer, Jack Gaffin, Aiden Groff, Ari Greenberg, Dylan Hagan, Michael McCurdy, Gabe Rodriguez, Pete Tepper, Justin Whitney, Caleb Bennett Harper, Zachary Mailman, Jay Suchak, Daniel Tang, Nicholas Valenti, Ben Wachschul, Nolan Nearing, Carmel Butbull, Douglas Cox, Tushar Garg, Johnny Huang, Lloyd Kim, Christopher Korniev, Eric Lee, Grant Yoon, Tien Zhang, Kevin Zhao, Rain Gidwari, Joseph Butzak, Ian Fulton, Reese Lopez, Eli Macbeth, Moen Pothik, Nathan Zane. Congratulations to the boys track team at High School East. And then the last team for us to recognize this evening is the 2021 High School East boys tennis team, coached by Mr. Greg DeWolf. The East boys tennis team this year, who played all of their home matches over at Beck, as we're having the tennis courts at East redone, finished with an 18-1 record, and they were undefeated. They were 15-0 during the regular season. This season, the East Boys Tennis team was the Olympic Conference American Division champions, the NJSIA Group 4 South champions, which they won in back-to-back years. The entire varsity 7 were named all Group 4. 5 of the members were named all South Jersey. Brett Schuster won the Camden County Singles Championship. Nathan Belitsky and Ben Z won the Camden County Doubles Championship, along with being selected first team all South Jersey, and they were New Jersey State doubles quarterfinalists. So an incredible season by the tennis team at High School East. Thank you to Mr. DeWolf for his work. And to read the boys' names, Nathaniel Belitsky, Nathan Bierig, Matthew Dickinson, Maxwell Dombrowski, Benjamin Fu, Ethan Lamb, Darren Lerner, Matthew Mellenhorst, Jacob Pasternak, Brett Schuster, Benjamin Z, Richard Zhu. Congratulations to the boys tennis team at High School East. Well done. And again, a special thank you to Mr. Burrell, our Director of Athletics, for his work, keeping everybody informed, making sure that we were up to date as soon as possible throughout each season with all the changes that took place, his relationship with NJSIAA, and providing the opportunity for students and families. So congratulations to all, and we are looking forward to fall sports again, starting later in the summer. So thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Malash.
Thank you.
That brings us to presentations. Did we have any presentations this evening?
We do.
Excellent.
Oh, actually, no presentation, just an administrative report.
Okay, so we'll go right to administrative reports.
Sorry, Mrs. Neary.
No problem.
Get this situated. Let me just get the computer situated here, Mrs. Neary, and we'll jump in.
No problem.
All right, so this evening, Dr. Mahan and I will provide an update. We return to learn update, and we have a very specific focus this evening, which is on the Safe Return to School plan that was posted on the district website last Friday. Part of the work that we are doing as part of the American Rescue Plan that is coming from the federal government. As we have done with all of our presentations, Dr. Mahan would have me remind you about what our district mission statement is. Again, this is the foundation of the work that we do. This is what we espouse. This is what we believe. This is who we are. This is our mission statement. Then the 3 strategic Board of Education goals, one focused on student wellness, one on purpose and passion, and one on connecting beyond our classrooms. Again, these were adopted in February of 2020, and they will carry us through June of 2025. When these goals were adopted in February of 2020, there was a certain level of prophecy that existed in the language that was included, because we certainly have gone well beyond our classroom walls during the course of the last 15 months. So a little bit of background. So the LEA plan for a safe return, and the LEA, when you see LEA in all of these documents, refers to the school district. So the LEA plan for safe return, this has grown out of the American Rescue Plan, the ARP Act, that was signed into law by President Biden. When we post the presentation tomorrow, there are links that are in here that you'll be able to find some additional information. And again, this page goes through and talks about some of the background, $122 billion as part of the emergency relief, what it's for, where it goes, what the requirements are in order to receive the money. Part of that involves posting a plan, presenting information to the community. And then the final bullet that the LEAs must submit, the districts must submit to the Department of Ed and post on their website their safe return plans by June 24th, which is this Thursday. A special note, and again, this language comes directly from the plan. It comes directly from the Department of Ed. This refers to Governor Murphy's announcement in the middle of May, that reflected Executive Order 175, which allowed us through this academic year to provide for remote learning. It rescinded that portion of the executive order, right? So the requirement or the allowance to be able to do remote learning was taken away for the 2021-2022 school year based on the rescission of that executive order by the governor. And again, this language comes directly from what was provided to us by the Department of Ed. Again, just some background, this is language from the actual template from the plan. New Jersey NJDOE is the New Jersey Department of Education. Talks about the information provided, what we have to do as a school district, and what has to be used. Each one of the categories, and I know that some of you are watching this evening have had the opportunity to look at the plan. Each one of the categories that we had to respond to were identified by the Department of Ed. They're very specific in terms of what they ask us to do. First category A is universal and correct wearing of masks. Right, so Trail's responses will follow the mandates from the Department of Ed regarding the correct wearing of masks. Again, Executive Order 175 refers to masks being worn in elementary and secondary schools. We've put out, we talked quite a bit over the course of the last month about masks being optional in case of extreme heat inside or outside schools. Because extreme heat is not specifically quantified by the department, we've identified that as above 79 degrees, either in temperature or in heat index. We've provided information about how that those numbers are determined. And it's very critical to understand and to know that if and when those guidelines change, the mandates will reflect those changes in our plans. Dr. Mann and I have said this in a couple of meetings we've gone through. I will tell you that I expect that there probably will be a change at some point this summer about mask wearing, especially when it comes to schools. That has not yet happened yet. I know that we received feedback from some folks when we posted the plan on Friday. And there's a Google form on our website for folks to be able to provide feedback. We received a number of people that referred to Medford Township School District and their plan that they're making masks optional. And that's actually not what their plan says. The one sentence they have under universal and correct wearing of masks says it's their intention to make masks optional. I believe that they are trying to skirt the language about universal and correct wearing of masks in order to submit it. I'll be interested to see, once all these plans are submitted on Thursday, what the follow-up looks like from some school districts who are taking that perspective. Second piece is about physical distancing. Again, we'll follow the most up-to-date standards. We were successful in making adjustments to physical distancing in our classrooms as we had students return to in-person learning beginning in January. And then as we progressed through the year from 2 days to 4 days, from 4 days to 5 days, adjusting what the distancing looked like in the setup in our classrooms. Hand washing and respiratory etiquette. We will not change next year. There'll be hand sanitizer and wipes available in classrooms. They'll be available at the entrances to the schools and those large group areas. We will again remind students and we'll train teachers about washing hands, about using the sanitizer, remind staff and students to cover coughs and sneezes. All that we will continue to do. In terms of cleaning and maintaining healthy facilities, this is broken down into some sub areas. One is district cleaning practices. We implemented new structured cleaning protocols during the 2020-2021 academic year. We did extensive training. We purchased new supplies, new materials last summer. We had posted videos last summer about the training sessions that went on with our cleaners and custodians. We will continue to maintain that level of cleaning. We'll continue to do those things using the hydrostatic misters as we go in and out of classrooms, high touch areas. Again, the goal is for healthy and safe environments. In terms of ventilation, we will continue to adhere to our indoor air quality plan, which has proven successful for us during the course of this year. Talking about windows being open, air conditioners, the HVAC plan, to run the systems on evenings and in the weekends to maximize the air circulation. These systems and people have asked during the course of the year about pumping additional air. We have chosen to run the circulators, to run the air exchange throughout the course of every day. They don't hibernate at night. They are on and in running. Again, addressing that, we continue to talk about possible bond referendum. We all know that we've had the discussion at the board level and in public meetings. HVAC is a primary area. We have also used some of our ESSER funds. We've purchased portable air purifiers, 1,000 of them, I believe, to be placed in instructional spaces, classrooms, and offices. Those will be all operational and in rooms when school reopens in September. Contact tracing, we'll continue to do contact tracing. Contact tracing is not something that is new. It's something that we are all much more familiar with because of the discussions that have gone on, and there's so much news reporting about it. And contact tracing in schools is not a new procedure. We've done contact tracing for communicable diseases in the past in relationship with the Camden County Department of Health. That will continue. The definition of close contact has not changed. And our school nurses will continue to work with Camden County Department of Health. We have a wonderful relationship with Dr. Pascal Nowako, and his team has been incredibly open and available to us throughout the course of this year. Diagnostic and screening testing, we're going to continue, and Dr. Mann and I had this in our presentation, I believe, the last meeting. We're going to continue to encourage families and staff members, and tell them to screen at home before they leave, not just for COVID symptoms, but for symptoms of being ill. We want people, if they are ill, to stay home. We want people, if they are ill, to stay home. We don't want them to come into schools, right? We want people to get healthy and take the time and what is needed in order to make sure that that takes place. There'll be additional updates about what the screening looks like, how that's labeled. You can see the screen that we use throughout the course of this year is available on our website. Efforts to provide vaccinations to educators, staff, and students. Special kudos to Nancy Adrian, our Director of Human Resources, and her team in the HR office. They worked tirelessly for weeks in setting up appointments for staff members who were having trouble getting appointments or had appointments that were scheduled months off. We worked with the Rite Aid pharmacy chain in this area and the Camden County Department of Health to get those appointments scheduled for folks. We also have people scheduled at the Rite Aids at the Camden County mega site down in Blackwood. Every staff member who wanted to get a shot, we set up appointments for them. Every staff member that needed that support, we set up appointments for them. We also ran through our high school students 16 years of age or older. We ran buses from High School East and High School West. We had students sign up. Students who wanted to, we bused from the high schools and the alternative high school. We bused them to the Burlington County mega site over at the Morristown Mall to get their shots, for both of their shots. We also set up with a local pharmacist. What's his name? It'll come to me. A local pharmacist. We set up vaccination clinics at Carusi Middle School and Beck Middle School, and did both shots on the 26th of June and 16th, or 26th of May, 16th of June, and 28th of May, and the 18th of June. So again, those were for children 12 and older. So we believe that we've done everything we possibly can up till now to support families and our staff members to get vaccinations. As we look at what requirements are and what's available moving forward into the summer and in the fall, we will continue to do the same thing. So again, special thanks to our staff members who are involved in making that happen. Adler Pharmacy, thank you, Mrs. Sugars. Mark Adler, a local pharmacist, came in and ran the clinics for us at the middle schools. So thank you to him. Appropriate accommodations for children with disabilities with respect to the health and safety policies. Again, incorporation of IEP and 504 accommodations. Our focus continues to be our commitment to providing meaningful access for all students, including with students who have identified disabilities, providing faith that's a free and appropriate public education, protecting health and safety, addressing their needs, students' needs, depending upon what that is, how that's identified, IEPs and 504 plans. Continuing to look at what we provide in terms of related services, how those services are provided. Again, making sure that students can maximize the experience and receive the services which they need. Again, additional with special education related services. We have a population of students who attend out-of-district placement schools. We have part of the team in the Pupil Services Office who works with the out-of-district placement schools to make sure the communication materials and experiences are met as well. Moving forward, we'll continue to hold IEP and 504 meetings both virtually and in person as requested. One of the things that we did find this year is we were able to involve more parents directly in the IEP and 504 meetings when at times they were held virtually. In terms of academics, again, primary focus, is looking at providing continuity of learning and mitigating any learning gaps for students. We looked in this question, in this area, about what it is that we're looking to provide during the course of this summer, acceleration, remediation, small group experiences, one-to-one tutoring, orientation and transition programs, credit recovery for high school students. We've expanded the extended school year program for those IEP students who qualify for it. And Title I programs will run in person during the course of this summer.
Dr. Malash, may I chime in for 1 second on this slide?
Of course you may, Dr. Mahan.
Thank you. I just wanted to let the board and community members know who are listening that today information went out regarding the elementary acceleration and remediation programs, as well as the middle school acceleration and remediation programs. The high school programs will be shared tomorrow morning. I am actually very pleased to say that parents have already started to respond and have started to register for the acceleration programs at the middle school and high school, excuse me, at the elementary school and middle school. So we look forward to, again, having a robust program for our students. But I just wanted that to be known that registration has begun.
Thank you, Dr. Mahan.
You're welcome.
Continuing with the academics, again, we have a very strong program of targeted specific professional development for our staff. And here it talks about what some of those opportunities are. Again, the quality, the dedication, the commitment of the staff members in Cherry Hill, certificated and non-certificated, and support allowed this district to continue to be functional, allowed children to continue to have experiences, moving them forward, positive experiences, even through all the challenges that existed during the course of the past year. We want to make sure that we're continuing to provide additional support, additional learning opportunities for our staff members as we move forward. And again, our goal is 5 full days in-person daily school schedule across the pre-K-12 spectrum, starting in September, 5 days a week, breakfast served, lunch served, regular days of school for all of our students. Again, Dr. Mahan referred to the message that was being sent out to the middle school and elementary schools, high school families. When they receive the message, they'll also have a little bit of an update because it also involves an opportunity for credit recovery for those students who will be eligible for credit recovery. Because this presentation will be posted on the website, also have a link on here to additional summer supports that are available. Some wonderful activities. Again, our staff members, many of our staff members participated in developing these summer supports, putting them together. Parents, if you're looking for something additional, something extra that the kids can work on, they can do, that they can be engaged with, I encourage you to go to the website and take a look to see what's available. Remote accessibility and technology. We have at this point issued more Chromebooks and devices than we ever have in the past. Every child that needs or has asked for a device has been provided to one. Our staff members have all been issued devices. Students are keeping them with them during the course of the summer. We've issued hotspots to maintain internet connectivity. Those are remaining with students and families during the course of the summer. We'll have technology repair services that'll be available should they be needed. And again, there's been tremendous learning in different types of technological platforms that our staff members and our students have accessed during the course of the year. If you have any questions about technology, do not hesitate to reach out. Contact your building principal, contact me, contact Dr. Mahan. We'll put you in contact with the right people. You can always contact public information. We have technology support that's available throughout the year. Student social, emotional, and mental health, again, a critical area through which we had a lot of engagement and discussion during the course of this year. Again, special thank you to our teachers, our school counselors, our child study team members, our SACs, our nurses, librarians, contracted mental health professionals that we work with who are here in district for what they provided throughout the course of the day, during school hours, after school hours. There was a lot of creativity in terms of meeting students' needs and providing additional supports where they were necessary. Counselors will continue to provide direct counseling, direct check-ins, special consideration for students who struggle, looking at the transition back into school. What does that look like for September for all students, especially those students who are going through transitional years? Our intervention and referral services teams at each school met during the course of the year. We'll also continue to meet during the course of the year as we move forward. Again, some additional background about training. We also will be offering Care Solace, which is a new mental health concierge service, which will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a multilingual service that'll connect students, families, and staff to available verified mental health providers and substance abuse treatment programs that are matched to their needs. There'll be a lot of information will come out about Care Solace. We've been going through doing some training and some initial context with Care Solace this spring. Very excited about this opportunity for what it is that we'll be able to provide to our community. And again, our community being students, staff members, to have additional supports that will be immediately available. As more information available, we will put it out. There'll be a link on our website for how to access the service. We received a grant. We're working with, there'll be transitional coaches who will be available at Barton, Carusi, and West. It's a grant that we received through the Camden County Ed Services Commission that we applied for earlier in the winter. They'll have a staff member with us to work to support students at those 3 schools beginning in the fall as well. Again, some supports for staff members. I mentioned about the Care Solace, which is that concierge service. Food services. So we are looking early in July. We expect that we will distribute our 1 millionth meal to children in Cherry Hill. We're waiting on the exact date. We'll have a better idea next week when we do the meal distribution. But meal distribution is continuing throughout the summer. And that means on Mondays, except for July 5th, it'll be on July 6th, and there's information going out about that. But on Mondays at Carusi Middle School and High School East, families will be able to pick up meals for the children. 7 breakfasts, 7 lunches, and just 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches during the summer. We can't do snacks during the summer. 7 breakfasts, 7 lunches. Again, a wide array of food choices, including fresh vegetables, fresh things that are in there. Mr. Bridges and Mario, our chef, have done an incredible job during the course of the last 15 months in diversifying the meals that are available, providing selections, and putting these forward. But again, we will distribute our 1 millionth meal sometime early in July. This will continue through the summer. The Department of Agriculture has announced that they will continue that during the 2021-2022 academic year. We will again apply for that waiver and participate. More information about meals and how breakfasts and lunches will be served at schools will come out specifically from the schools early in August. Opportunities for public comment. We wanted to provide opportunities for public comment. During the course of the year, we had quite a bit opportunity for public comment. So we did receive public comment and feedback about what was going on in all of our board meetings twice a month from the summer on. We also ran virtual town hall meetings on a Zoom platform, November 16th, December 14th, January 11th, January 19th, February 16th, and April 19th. We used thought exchange opportunities, which is an online piece. We'll continue to use thought exchange. We began those last June, but during the course of the past year, we did it in July. We did 2 in September, one that was overall and one specifically focused on parents of students with IEPs. November, December, and January, second one in January, and then one in April. We'll continue to do those as we move forward in 2021-22 academic year. And then in terms of specific feedback in American Rescue Plan, this information in this document, these are specific groups where there was direct contact and interaction with to get feedback. And you see the last one on the page is the presentation, which is taking place tonight at the Board of Education meeting. There also is a link as came out in the postcard, and it's also on our website. You'll be able to find this presentation tomorrow. The Safe Return Plan will also be found, can currently be found, is on the We Return to Learn link that is on our webpage. Also in there is information if you would like to provide feedback or make comments. You can make those comments. There's a Google form that will take you to that. We have formal presentations about the safe return plan and about the continuity of learning plan with the reopening of school. We'll do those presentations at both board meetings in July and August. We expect we'll have an update one with the opening of school. We've added on the date of September 14th. So expect that there will be formal presentations delivered to the Board of Education, specifically at least on those 5 dates. Plan is posted on our website, which is ADA compliant and accessible. The translation feature on the page allows for information to be translated. If there's a specific language that can't be found or people need additional translation services, don't hesitate to reach out, contact us at the district level, either through public information, through the question, direct phone call, or email, and we'll provide that support as necessary. And Dr. Mahan, we always finish with this final slide about questions, feedback, and discussion. The questions to make us, to help to clarify, feedback to help make us better at what it is that we do, and then discussion with the board to see if there's additional questions or information to be shared.
Dr. Malash, I'd just like to chime in for 30 seconds at the end of the presentation, because I know there was a significant amount of information for the board as well as community members to digest if they did not see the safe return to school plan on the district website. Just 4 quick things. The areas that we needed to present tonight were outlined by the New Jersey Department of Education, and we followed that template that was provided to us. I recognize that the presentation was dense, included a lot of words. There was a lot that Dr. Malash covered, but again, the presentation will be posted to the district website. The Safe Return to Schools plan is currently posted on the district website. And finally, and the Safe Return to Schools plan is posted under the We Return selection of the website for anyone to look at. And finally, your feedback is important to us. Part of the Safe Return to Schools plan is to solicit input from the community. There is a link to a Google survey for you to provide us with additional feedback. So again, Dr. Malash, I just wanted to highlight those things. Template that we followed, the plan is currently posted, where it is on the website, and feedback is critical to our success, and that the Google survey is there and available for community members to respond. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Mahan.
Thank you. Were there any questions from the board? I had a question very quickly, Dr. Malash. You said that it will go to the state. Will they review and return questions? Do they approve? What is the process they've outlined to the districts?
Yeah, Mrs. Neary, that's actually a really good question. As of right now, it's a submittal. So we have to submit it through the electronic platform by Thursday afternoon. We have not gotten word whether or not that it's going to receive approval or that it's just going to be identified that it's been submitted for completion. That we have not heard anything more yet about that.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Stern?
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Neary. I just have a couple of questions. Thanks for the very robust presentation. One of the questions that I had, before we knew that the governor was going to require all schools to return fully in person, there was discussion about the district, if we had to do any type of hybrid learning in the fall, that we were going to divide up the virtual students with one teacher and then the in-person students with another, because I'm assuming that was the plan, was the thought was it was going to work better. We all hope that this plan of all in-person can stay, ongoing. But I think we also know that, things change unexpectedly, and there's a lot of variables that impact whether or not schools can stay fully open or have to return to some type of remote learning or hybrid. So is there a consideration at this point to have a plan B regarding whether or not there could be a different model if we were in a situation where we were mandated to return to some type of hybrid learning again, to consider that model that was discussed prior to the governor's declaration that all schools needed to be fully open. That's my first question.
So if the state changes and they provide the opportunity for school districts to run completely virtual classes, then yes, we will, as we discussed this spring, we would assign teachers at the elementary level to teach just virtual classes. We would reorganize who those children were, what that looked like. As we talked about the middle school, we would do that as much as we can. The high school level, there would probably be a mix just because of the content specific information. As of today, that's not permissible. We are not drawing up a plan that has that. But if that were to change, then yes, that's what we would do.
Thank you. I only ask, and I understand it's not required to be part of this plan. I think,
But
Yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt you. It's not, Mr. Not just that it's not required, it's not permissible, it's not legally permissible.
oh, thank you. Okay. So that was, I hear that. And I think just from a student and community perspective, if there is an opportunity to provide that information publicly, even though it's not allowed to be included in this document, I think that communication is helpful. And my second question is, I really appreciate the piece that you talked about with the benefit of having the IEP meetings as ongoing, making some of, I don't know, all or some available in person, because it had a much higher participation rate, which is great. That's the kind of, one of the positives that have been found, in our circumstances, one of those silver linings. I like the public comment form that's out there for people to comment on that you and Dr. Mahan both referred to. I'm wondering if specifically our teachers who were living this and, as we've said all along, building the plane while it was being flown, now that they've flown the plane, if there is a plan to survey them further about other improvements that they found in their experience in the past year and a half that they'd like to keep, maybe some changes to consider making permanently.
So we maintained monthly meetings with leadership from CHEA about throughout the course of the year that began in October. And we had a minimum of one meeting a month that we scheduled from, I guess, 3:30-ish till about 5:30. It was a jointly constructed agenda between the Superintendent's Council and CHEA leadership, which had representation from every level, from Barclay to elementary to middle school to high school in the discussions. And that's really was the forum for that to take place. I have weekly meetings with CHEA leadership as well, where we discuss timely items that are coming through and timely issues. We've had staff members who have participated in the feedback that's been provided specifically on this plan. We had staff members throughout the course of the year who are intimately involved in the development of the We Return to Learn plan and the implementation and the changes. You've heard us all talk about the 80+ staff members that spent nearly a year and a huge portion of that during the course of June, July, and August last summer for the initial creation of the plan. It was staff voices that built what was done and allowed us to be successful, in each phase as we move forward, because they were the ones doing the actual implementation of what took place. So yes, we provided opportunity for them. In terms of, are we sending out a survey to all of the staff? I'm not aware at this point of a survey that's going out to all of the staff.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see Mr. Ovadia has his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Neary. So I just had, thank you for the presentation of the work. There's four questions that I think are brief. Technology repair. So there are students with broken devices at home that, that really, we would want them to get those fixed over the summer.
Absolutely.
If I'm headed to a new school, who would you suggest be our first kind of called?
Good question. So,
Sure.
Farah, you want to?
Yeah, I was going to jump in on this one. So great question, Mr. Avadius. So the technology repairs, we set up at the beginning of the pandemic, a student support email address where parents and students can reach out directly to someone in our technology department who can not only provide in-person, web-based, or technology support and repairs. They also are able to help troubleshoot and to support families in terms of getting the appropriate apps onto their devices, connecting to the internet, and any other technology-based questions. That continues to be in place. We do not anticipate that that will go away for at least the next academic year. We also have technology coaches that are assigned to our buildings who have supported families and teachers throughout the entire pandemic, and that support will continue. The link is on the district website for student support for all technology needs.
Okay. Question 2. I agree with Dr. Mahan. Community voice is important. Now, I'm a believer that they're not all feedback is equal. We've asked for responses to the plan. Have we gotten a good wide range of responses to the link we've provided? Is that working in our estimation?
So as of about 5 p.m. this evening, we had 45 responses to the plan. So I would not say that that's wide ranging. And they are varied. There are a number of responses that are identical that are there. And it's a mix of responses. A lot of them deal with mask wearing and whether or not people feel that masks should be worn or shouldn't be worn. And there's a definite mix of people in terms of what they responded. Some specific questions about things going on in the classroom, about social distancing, that kind of stuff that's in there. But yeah, we've received 45? 45, Farah, does that sound right, what we looked at this afternoon?
Yes, 45 responses.
45 responses thus far.
So just from a baselining perspective, we're still open to community feedback.
We are.
There was a lot of attention on the date of Thursday. Current feedback,
Correct.
probably it's too late, but there are all these, so that it's not too late. And 45 with 10,500+ students is not a lot, right? We haven't heard from, okay, so please do that.
We always encourage feedback. We are always open to feedback. Absolutely.
Now, one thing that recurs and came up in one of my committee meetings, why don't we just say, no masks, no distancing, state's got guidelines. Now for Board of Ed, we have a certain allegiance to the state that we swear of office, but I mean, just brass tacks, you know it, but I mean, why don't we just sort of make up the rules as we go and figure out, come what may, ask for forgiveness,
Right.
not permission. Why isn't that our approach as a school district?
So we have, there's a couple of pieces. One, we are bound, 9 board members swear an oath to the state, right? To uphold the statutes and the laws, to implement legally what's to be done. My certificate, Mrs. Sugar's certificate, the other professionals that are here, our jobs are incumbent upon that we follow the statute and guidelines that we're supposed to. If not, then that becomes problematic. So that's one piece. I would tell you what, a second piece with it is this plan, this Safe Return to Learn plan, it being submitted and being what is needed predicates us receiving millions of dollars from the federal government that we desperately need to address some of the physical issues in our building. So there's a real financial relationship that exists with the successful completion of this plan. I don't think any of us could ever be cavalier enough to say, we're just going to flaunt that response and then just, whatever happens, with the money. We're a large district. Cherry Hill, as many of us know, we receive a lot of attention from a lot of places, with whatever goes on. We have a highly engaged community and people that, are very focused on making sure that we do the best we possibly can for the children that are here. So there are very, very real responsibilities that we have. There's a real structural piece. There's a legal piece that exists, and it's our responsibility to follow each one of those pieces. As soon as we start to flaunt that, to ignore that, to do away with that, that tears away at the fiber of who we are as a public school district. And I think creates some pretty serious legal problems for the board, for me, for Mr. Sugars, for the other staff members, that are involved. Again, Mr. Allen, if there's more.
No, that's a very accurate way to put it.
Legally compliant.
Last question, part of navigating mental health, and I love this idea of the concierge service. We'll hear more about it, and
Yes.
concierge being like, if I have a specific insurance, because this is a struggle I hear people have and I have had myself. Like, we'll be able to really help navigate for people to get actual care.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in network for a lot of these guys, the costs are they're unbearable for an average Cherry Hill family, including my own.
Yes. Miss Mallory, I think you're on with us. Hi, Miss Mallory.
Hi, good evening.
Miss Mallory, can you talk a little bit about Care Solace?
Sure. So there are certain things that the program has taken into consideration when they implemented it. One of them is people who don't have access to insurances. There's a variety of things you can select as you navigate through the portal. And pretty much they carry you from the time that you enter and answer questions on the portal to after your first visit with the practitioner to see if you were satisfied with that practitioner. If you were not, then you're guided again to another doctor or caretaker. So they really do track every part of the process from start to finish. Quite honestly, I was amazed by what they're able to do. We did talk to several districts in other states that are comparable to the size of Cherry Hill, and they had nothing bad to say. They said it's really a great opportunity for all staff members, students, and their families to have access to mental health supports.
Thank you.
Thanks, Miss Mallory.
Okay, were there any other questions from the board members? Okay, if no other questions, thank you, Dr. Mahan and Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Mrs. Neary.
Thank you.
That brings us to correspondence. Did anyone have any correspondence this evening?
I do, Ms. Neary. I don't know. I raised my hand, but I don't think you can.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm sorry, Mrs. Schultz. Yes, please go ahead.
That's good. All right. So the mental health task force did meet this past Monday. I was not able to attend, but I did reach out to Mrs. Minjin and asked her to send me a few notes just because I wanted to make sure to inform the board of what happened at that meeting. So she was kind enough to send me a few notes. So I'll read them, but I can't answer any questions. But I just wanted to make sure to let the board know about the work that's being done on that committee. So at their meeting, they did review everything that had been accomplished and posted to the mental health task force dashboard that is on the district's website. So this includes pre-recorded information and resources from the nurses, the SACs, the elementary counselors, and from members of our mental health task force. They did a mindfulness and meditation slideshow. So we now have 3 live webinars with PowerPoints that were recorded as well. The first one was our community resources in Cherry Hill and how to access them. Next, there is one on the elementary counselors. The elementary counselors did an SEL celebration on social and emotional learning, featuring our second step and why try programs. And then the third is a presentation and a webinar that was done by Dr. Harry Green and Dr. Regina Green, and they both presented on COVID-19, stress, anxiety, and how to plan for the transition back to in-person learning. So those 3 webinars are now on our district website, so please take advantage. And then they discussed the board goals, and Mrs. Minjin is in the process of recruiting a representative from every building to be part of the mental health task force for next year. And then next year, they're going to continue to work with QPR on getting all SACs and ES counselors trained in QPR, which is questions, persuade, and refer for students who may be suicidal. The last, they discussed Parent University for in-person for next spring, and it was suggested to have hidden in plain sight, where a room is set up like a bedroom. And they're going to work on topics and presentations for this once the task force returns in September. And then they pointed out that Carusi and Beck Middle Schools are going to be having an evening in August for students transitioning back to school. They'll have separate nights for 6th, 7th, and 8th grades respectively. And then Cherry Hill East reported that they will be doing team building, and they're going to have small groups for 9th and 10th graders transitioning back to school. And then one member of the committee did make the following statement, that mental health is needed for everyone, that it's needed daily, mindfulness, breathing every day when students are coming into the building, and that they hope was to deliver intentional prevention instead of waiting for problems to arise. And I guess there was some conversations about how we can incorporate daily check-ins for all students in all grades across the district, and possibly extra recesses at the elementary school level. So I'm sorry I did miss that, but I did want to make sure that I reported that out at tonight's meeting. So looking forward to jumping back on this in September. So thank you again. And sorry, I can't answer any questions, but happy to ask Ms. Minjan on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Mrs. Schultz. Ms. Stratton, you had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say I spoke with this past week with several members of the Cherry Hill African American Civic Association Executive Board team. And they were very pleased to have our participation on Saturday in the first annual Juneteenth event. It was great to first have Dr. Morton invite families at publicly at West graduation. But then the board was very pleased on Saturday to see several members from our Board of Education, to see several members of our administration participate and be present. And then most importantly, to see some of our district students be celebrated and highlighted for their achievement on the Black History and Essay competition this year, as well as our students who have received scholarships from the association for this year. So the team from Cherry Hill African American Civic Association, they did an amazing job for their first time out. And they were very happy that the district was able to collaborate and partner and ensure that students and families were a part of the celebration.
Thank you, Mrs. Stratton. Was there anybody else that had any correspondence or comments? Okay, seeing no others, that'll bring us to our student representatives reports, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Mrs. Neary. So this is the first report from our new student representatives to the board. With us this evening from High School East is Ariana Santiago Ramos, and from High School West is Kevin Salvatorelli. So Ariana and Kevin, if you guys would pop your cameras on, and then Ariana, you want to start us out with your report?
Sure. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Ariana. So sure, I'll start. For our clubs, most clubs did their final meetings and activities a few weeks ago. And most of them were all of them were successful. Interact Club, for example, had a successful pilot project where they made kindness rocks with the kids at Red Heart. Pavas released their final project showcasing a lot of their works, which is pretty good too. And Amnesty Club raised $301 from their Krispy Kreme donuts that is all going to AAPI Mental Health Association. As for academics, we made a survey, Steve and I, on Instagram only for East students regarding final reflections. We asked if final reflections, they found them useful and if they should continue in coming years. And 71% of the 97 students that answered said yes. When asked the same question in an open-ended format, just to get people's opinions on things, many students mentioned that they found them more beneficial than exams in terms of their grades and the time they had to complete them. Switching over to student activities, the in-person graduation was quite successful, as well as project graduation. I heard from all of my senior friends that it was really fun and they had great things to say about it. The yearbook was also a great success this year. Not only was it amazingly thorough, it reflected and showcased a lot more student experiences directly from the students. And the yearbook people, as usual, did a great job. All spring sports, as mentioned before, had really good seasons by their own standards. Our best two sports this year were tennis and track. And as mentioned before, all these teams had great accomplishments, and we're all very proud of them. We made another survey, again, only random students, regarding next year. Out of 97 students, approximately 78% felt completely comfortable returning fully to school, and they trusted that the school would take the appropriate measures to keep them safe. And when asked for their concerns in an open-ended format, 24 students mentioned student mental health that would come with the harsh transition and adjusting to the schedule and workload and socialization with that. So that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariana. And then from High School West with us this evening is Kevin Salvatorelli. Kevin.
Hello and good evening. Starting off with school news, our graduation ceremonies were held at the West Stadium on June 17th. This was the first class to graduate from our home field since about 2003. And the graduating senior students were really excited to get a full graduation experience after the turbulence during the school year. The weather was amazing, and it was a wonderful closing for both the class of 2021 senior year and the school year overall for all students. We'd also a farewell to Dr. Morton, honoring Dr. Morton's impressive legacy and leadership at West. The National Honor Society, as well as individual students, put together multiple letters, notes, and cards for our outgoing principal. Well, we would like to wish Dr. Morton the best of luck in his new position as an assistant superintendent, and we look forward to seeing him take his impact district-wide. Final reflections. I spoke with a number of students as well as my the alternate rep, Sam Messias. And starting on June 10th, West students took the opportunity to improve their grades by completing final reflections in place of final exams. Many students viewed the final reflections as beneficial over standard final exams, as they were a less stressful experience that gave a more wide way of showing what they've learned. From activities, senior prom took place on June 7th which was rescheduled from the 3rd due to weather. Activities like senior prom have become a refuge for students as COVID-19 restrictions lighten and more group activities become possible. After this incredibly difficult year, any opportunity to get together in person is greatly appreciated and helps improve student morale. The Class of 2024 Executive Committee sponsored the first annual field day also on June 10th. And each class competed in races against each other in a series of competitions, including water balloon tosses, three-legged races, and a spoon relay. The event was a great way to get students to meet each other after this school year where meeting each other has been very difficult. I also spoke to multiple seniors about project graduation, and they believed that project graduation was a great way to ensure they had a safe and fun way to celebrate their the ending of their high school experience and get to see each other all again one more time before before the end of the school year. Switching over to department news, the Performing Arts Department, starting off with vocal music. The West Music Department was able to put on the annual Senior Soul Night performance, which was their first in-person performance of the school year. Its Senior Soul Night allows seniors and their friends to put on unique musical performances that cross every genre, topic, and emotion. And after the lack of performances for this year, it was a great way to set the tone for return to music in our school district. The performance wrapped up with a performance dedicated to the outgoing vocal music teacher, Mr. Cooper. The theater department also was able to hold their One Acts Play Festival at the end of May, and allowed students to get to meet each other in a theatrical performance sense. And the International Thespian Society held an induction ceremony in the new auditorium, which was the first in-person event for the theater program. The athletics department has tried its hardest to give student athletes as safe and normal of a season as possible. Thankfully, this year, many triumphed over the challenges imposed by the pandemic and had a highly successful season. We thank our amazing coaches and support staff for making this step in our return to normalcy possible. The AFJROTC program ended the year off with a Baton Memorial March, in which they walked 14 miles at the Cooper River Park to commemorate tens of thousands of American and Filipino soldiers who were forced to march more than 60 miles in the scorching heat to the Philippine jungles. There was also an award ceremony on the 28th of May, in which a number of cadets were recognized for their achievements in this year. In other news, West Community is glad that it was able to provide use of its facilities as a home for the graduations for all 3 middle schools and our fellow high schoolers at East. We are one district which can come together to ensure a positive and safe experience for the graduating students. And then wrapping up with student concerns, West students look forward to a hopeful and return to a near normal for the coming school year. After the many scheduling changes, pivots, failures, and successes that have occurred during the past school year, we are all hoping for a more stable year. We hope the school district will be as transparent as possible and grant as much notice as it can about the decisions for the coming school year. And we all greatly appreciate the release of plans, or the regular release of plans at every board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Ariana.
Thank you both. Okay, that now brings us to our first public comment. And the first public comment is for board action items only, items 14 through 17. There will be another public comment section for any topic at the end of the meeting. Call-in comments will be heard first, then emailed comments to the board secretary will be read. Each comment submitted shall be subject to the 3-minute time allotment. And we ask that you state your full name, and as a previous community member had noted, we're going to ask that you state your municipality instead of your full address. And if there's any confusion, as I know there's been in the past on the action items, when we say the action items, we're referring, as we give the numbers there above, but it's the items we're going to vote on this evening, if that helps provide clarification in advance. So I'll go to our public comments. Let me see whose hands are up. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised for the first public comment. Mrs. Sugars, do you have any email submissions?
I do, I have one.
Okay.
This is from Kimberly Gallagher. This is for item 16.2. Do not approve Dr. Malash's bonuses for the 2021 school year, especially without providing the criteria used to rate his performance. As a parent and a taxpayer, I am not happy paying his bonus for a wasted school year. Do not reward this lack of leadership. Cherry Hill should hold its leadership to a higher standard and be transparent with the community who pays its salaries. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sugars. Okay, that'll then bring us to superintendent comments, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Mrs. Neary. So a few things. First, as the kids talked about, congratulations to our middle school and high school graduates. Last Wednesday and Thursday were absolutely beautiful days for graduation ceremonies. It was the first time that we've had the middle schools graduate in the stadium over at High School West. And as Kevin said, it was the first time since 2003 that we've actually had a class graduate from the field, as West did on Thursday morning, and that is East did on Thursday evening. Dr. Morton from High School West, Dr. Perry from High School East, Mr. O'Connor from Beck Middle School, Dr. Birdie from Carusi Middle School, Mr. Guy from Rosa Middle School, and Mrs. Giordano, who's the principal at the Alternative High School, the Coles Alternative Program, did an incredible job to put together the graduation ceremonies. A special note as well is on Monday of last week, Mrs. Giordano and the staff at the Alternative High School program held a recognition ceremony for students, which was also done very beautifully. Our staff members who participated, the administrative team, the PTA folks who were involved, did an incredible job to be flexible in order to make these ceremonies take place. Because I think, as Dr. Perry and Dr. Morton talked about in the remarks to the community during the ceremonies, you know, a mere 6 weeks ago, we didn't know if we'd be able to hold ceremonies in person. So they did an incredible job to get all of this together. If you didn't have a chance to see them when they were being live broadcast, or you weren't in the stadium, check out the We Graduate portion of our website, and you can find a direct link to each one of the recorded graduation ceremonies. They're wonderful to watch. We had a great crew of people who came in, did the sound and the filming. So I encourage people to take the opportunity to see the graduation ceremonies. To the students beyond just the 8th graders and the high school seniors, congratulations on completing the academic year last Friday. June 18th was in fact our last day of school. June 18th was also the first observance as a holiday of Juneteenth as a state holiday and now a federal holiday. So as Ms. Elmore Stratton said this past Saturday, which was actually Juneteenth, June 19th was the first Cherry Hill Juneteenth celebration. It was an absolutely wonderful day. We had a lot of students, a lot of family members participate, people from all over. It was definitely a tremendous event. The first in and I'm sure what will promise to be a long string of annual events. There were incredible successes that took place during the 2020-2021 academic year. There's been award ceremonies, the 5th grade ceremonies that took place a week ago today, last Tuesday, and all the elementary ceremonies, or all the elementary schools, which were also broadcast, highlighted the work done at the elementary schools. We congratulated the 5th graders as they prepare to move on to middle school. A couple of notes to highlight beyond the athletic students we recognized. We had 2 students, National History Day groups from Rosa Middle School who received very special recognition. First, there was a group who did a documentary titled Liberating Language, Fighting Freedom, the Hidden Exchange of African American Literary Societies. This group was chosen to be a part of the National Museum of African American History and Cultural's virtual documentary showcase. A tremendous honor for these middle school students for what they put together, was prominently displayed and on display at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. And the group, this documentary explored African American literary societies in the 19th century. Being refused fundamental human rights, African Americans began to create their own platform, literary societies, to speak when opportunities to communicate were not available. Members strive to gain equal rights for not only themselves, but for other groups of people as well, by encouraging literacy and simultaneously spreading awareness. We'll formally recognize those students probably when we get back to school in September, but congratulations to that group. And then there was also a second group of National History Day students. The National History Day program is under the guidance and direction of Ms. Christy Morella over at Rosa, a tremendous job year in and year out. But a second group with special recognition. This group finished 3rd in the nation. So 3rd in the nation, this national conglomeration of all the National History Day competitions come out of every state. And they finished 3rd in the national finals for the documentary on Swiss diplomat and hidden Holocaust hero, Karl Lutz. And the presentation was Humanity Before Diplomacy, the documents that saved thousands, Karl Lutz's rescue. And again, a group of students from Rosa, we will recognize them. And I'm sure Ms. Morella will come and share some words with us in the fall. But I wanted to recognize them this evening. I also have some comments that I've been kind of mulling over and wanted to go through tonight. Recently, there have been many news stories and lots of discussions nationally, locally about critical race theory and whether or not it's being used in public schools around the country. I've been asked in person, on the telephone, via email, that Cherry Hill is using critical race theory. And honestly, my answer each time has been no. Cherry Hill School District has a long history of working with members of the community and beyond to address the needs of all students. We have made great strides forward in the past few years in terms of providing opportunity for students and community members to be openly expressive about their experiences in our school district and our community. Systemic racism is real, and we must be willing to talk about it so that we can address it and improve the situation and the experiences for all of our students, staff members, and families. When the Board of Education adopted policy 2100 anti-racism on November 24th of 2020, that's just last fall, they did so as a bold and direct action, including the following language in the policy. The Board of Education believes that racism must be eliminated from the Cherry Hill Public Schools in all policies, regulations, procedures, and practices. Personal and institutional racism have historically existed and continue to exist within our country, county, community, and the Cherry Hill School District. All students have a fundamental right to an equitable, accessible, inclusive, and culturally responsive learning environment. The Cherry Hill Public School District believes that students' identities and backgrounds should actively contribute to their successful academic outcomes and those of their peers, while honoring and valuing students' diverse ideas and contributions. Diversity is a core strength of our school district and requires that we work systemically to eliminate racial inequalities for all marginalized students. Those two paragraphs are part of the overall policy. Again, very specific language, very purposeful language that the Board of Education adopted for our school district. This work is aligned with New Jersey legislation A4454, which was signed by Governor Murphy this past spring. The new law, which goes into effect for this coming academic year, September of 2021, is legislation that updates the New Jersey student learning standards to promote, and I quote, economic diversity, equity, inclusion, tolerance, and belonging in connection with gender and sexual orientation, race and ethnicity, disabilities, and religious tolerance. Again, important work, important language. In conversation with a colleague, or in dialogue with a colleague earlier today, I'll paraphrase part of our conversation and part of what was shared. The various systems of oppression continue to endure in our country and in ways within our own community. There's an undeniable history in our country that established the conditions of racial injustice and with which we must deal today. And we are empowered to make truly impactful change. And if we can come together as a district and a community to encourage our students, our staff members, and our families to stand up and to speak out, we will make this impactful change and we will make this a better place for all. Cherry Hill has been and will continue to be a leader in this work. We invite all in our community to participate and to be engaged to make positive change. There is absolutely no room for racism in Cherry Hill. Thank you, Mrs. Neary.
Thank you, Dr. Malash. Okay, that brings us to our action agenda, and we'll start with curriculum and instruction. I will turn it over to Mrs. Matlack to move that.
Thanks, Mrs. Neary. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. Number 1, approval of attendance at conference and workshops for the 2021-2022 school year. Number 2, first reading of policies. Do I have a second? Mrs. Neary. Any comments or questions from board members? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Okay, board members, you can cast your votes. And we have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mrs. Sugars. Okay, that brings us to business and facilities, and I will turn it over to Mrs. Schultz to move that agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Neary. The superintendent recommends and I move the following. Number 1, financial reports. Number 2, resolutions. Number 3, resolutions approving update and revision to FY 2021 grant account numbers. Number 4, appointment of food service management company. Number 5, resolution approving vended meals contract between Yale School West, Ellisburg, and Cherry Hill Board of Education. Number 6, resolution for the award of transportation. Number 7, resolution for the award of change orders. Number 8, resolution for the cancellation of outstanding checks. Number 9, resolution approving shared service agreements between Cherry Hill Township and Cherry Hill Board of Education for turf field maintenance. And number 10, acceptance of donations. Do I have a second? Mr. Avadia, are there any questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Okay, I have opened up the online voting. May cast your votes.
And Ms. Sugars, I need to abstain to Beata Home Health on the bill list, please.
Okay.
Ms. Sugars, I'd like to say yes to all, but abstain from 15.10, please.
Okay. right, other than the two noted exceptions, we have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mrs. Sugars. That brings us to Human Resources, and I will turn it back to Mrs. Schultz to move that agenda.
Thank you again. The superintendent recommends and I move the following. Number 1, termination of employment certificated. Number 2, termination of employment non-certificated. Number 3, appointments certificated. Number 4, appointments non-certificated. Number 5, leaves of absence certificated. Number 6, leaves of absence non-certificated. Number 7, assignment salary change non-certificated. Number 8, other compensation non-certificated. Number 9, athletics and co-curricular contracts certificated. Number 10, contract renewals, non-affiliated, certificated staff, 2021-22 school year. Number 11, contract renewals, non-affiliated, non-certificated staff, 2021-2022 school year. Number 12, other motions. Number 13, approval of a new job description. Number 14, affiliation agreement. And number 15, CHEA sidebar agreement. Do I have a second? Mrs. Matlack, are there any questions? Seeing none?
All right, we will open up the voting. Board members, you may cast your votes. Oh, if I open it up, you can cast your votes. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, we have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mrs. Sugars. Okay, and in Ms. Friedel's absence this week, I will go ahead and move the policy and legislation agenda. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. Item 17.1, approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying, investigation decisions. Item 17.2, approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying, hearing decision. Do I have a second? Ms. Schultz, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Okay, I have opened up the voting. Board members, you may cast your votes.
And Mrs. Sugars, I need to abstain from item 221, 122. And then can I just vote yes online to the others?
Yes, you may. Okay, other than the exception noted by Mrs. Neary, we have a unanimous yes vote.
Okay, great, thank you. And we have no items for strategic planning this evening, so that brings us to new business. Did anyone have any items for new business? Okay. No new items. That brings us to old business. Were there any items to discuss this evening under old business? Oh, did I miss someone under new? I'm sorry, Ms. Stern.
I'm sorry, that's old business.
Okay, well, it looks like I'd moved past new business, so we're at old business. So Ms. Stern, go ahead.
Thanks. I just wondered, perhaps maybe Mrs. Sugars could give a quick update. If you have any further updates regarding the grant writer position that I know was posted. We talked about it, we've been talking about it. Just are there any updates on that?
Yes, as you know, the first time that we put it out, we did not have any responses to it. So we expanded where we posted the RFQ this time, and we did have a response that we got today. So I've shared that with Dr. Malash. We have not had a chance to go over it, but we're hoping to have an appointment on the July 13th board meeting.
Bless you, Mrs. Schultz. Okay, thank you so much. It was very timely, I guess, that I asked about that today.
Yes,
thank you.
Very much so.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Stern. Were there any other items for old business? Okay, so then that brings us to our second public comment. The second public comment section is for any topic. Call-in comments will be heard first, then mailed and email comments to the board secretary will be read. Each comment shall be subject to the 3-minute time allotment. Okay, and first we have Yonatan Yaraz. And if you could state your full name and municipality.
Yoni Yaris, Cherry Hill. I just wanted to give the board an update and say thank you to Kilmer and to Dr. Malash, Ms. Sugars, and her team for opening up the Kilmer parking lot for us for the last almost a year at this point. We passed our millionth meal tonight in terms of our USDA kosher food distribution. So that's 1 million meals provided that met kosher dietary needs given out to anyone else who was welcome to it. So we're really grateful. We would not have been able to reach that milestone without the district's help and the major use of the Kilmer parking lot. And the staff was incredibly accommodating this past school year with us coming in at the tail end of the school day, and just really grateful to have the Kilmer community. And just wanted to share that update with you and just say thank you to all of you, because it really is a team effort in Cherry Hill, and all of you played a role in us being able to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Yares. Okay. Okay, I don't see other hands. Mrs. Sugars, do we have, oh, it's Laura Einhorn.
Hi. Ann Einhorn, 1017 Edgemore Road, Old Habits Die Off. I just want to state that we're several public comments on social media, my favorite place to find the best news, regarding the proposal or the consideration of moving the merit criteria for Dr. Malash to the executive county superintendent. It's not a done deal unless the executive county superintendent approves it. So you voted to move the contract forward. And for those who have such angry thoughts, regardless, I'm just going to say one more time that never in a million years would I have wanted any superintendent's job this year. Let alone being a teacher or a staff member or a janitor or an aide, all of you who are within the confines of our district, including the board members who struggle through numerous emails and comments, etc. So I think you all did a great job. I know the community doesn't feel that way, but looking on the outside in, I think you did the best you could with very little guidance from, quite frankly, Governor Murphy. So I appreciate all of you, even though I don't have children in the system anymore. I hope you continue to do good work. I am not troubled by the Return to Learn plan, not just because I don't have children in the system anymore, because I know that it's a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month fluid situation until we get to September, particularly with guidance sometimes and sometimes not coming from Trenton. So thank you all. Though I will be back. I wish you all a great summer, including the community that listens at large. And I hope everyone just stays well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Einhorn. Okay, it looks like next is Jamie Goodwin.
Hi, Jamie Goodwin, Cherry Hill. I wanted to just jump on also and just share, I'm really grateful to hear about the ways in which Cherry Hill, especially in that sort of bringing students back safely, is centering equity work and continuing to do that. I appreciate the ways that we're going to continue to offer students food and make sure that people don't come back now into a new school year and the normal is being hungry. And also sort of these laptops and internet. I just think that's a huge movement in the right direction, because the internet divide has been a way that so many students have not been able to succeed or thrive in school. I also just had a couple of questions that, maybe can be circled back about the survey that shared about like going back to school. Are there ways to, I don't know if that's in multiple languages, and also are there ways to like actually send that survey out to family members so that we don't get disproportionate information from certain families who know about it or are at the board meetings to sort of share their comments? Can that be filtered out to all the student or all the families? And then my last thought, just quick thought, sort of responding to a little bit about what Dr. Malash shared, is I do want to sort of also press that we don't forget that we're not just dealing with remnants of a racist past, but we are dealing with present racism, meaning that we need to be really vigilant about working to unlearn and also to dismantle the racism that we are perpetuating real time in our schools. So it's not just like sort of digging up and sort of dealing with past. I think that's easy to talk about, but the ways in which that's still happening in our communities, I think that's another really important step that's encoded in that anti-racism policy that asks us to look at how are our institutions, our sort of ways of learning set up that actually are perpetuating these same racist norms in that sort of kind of overall way of looking at how do we dismantle and eradicate racism. So that was just one thing I want to share, but thank you so much for all the work that's been happening.
There we go. Thank you, Ms. Goodwin. Okay, next we have Mona Noyes. If you can please state your full name and municipality.
Yes, my name is Mona Noyes and I live in Cherry Hill. Am I set to go?
Yep,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, first of all, it's wonderful to see all of you. And I want to thank the board for all the work you put in. I know that it's a huge job, but there's no more important one in the whole society. And I mean that sincerely. I'm calling because I want to, again, thank the board and thank particularly the parents and the community for the support for developing character education in our schools. As I'm sure that you all know, this year, the district and every one of our schools has earned, and I say earned because it's very, very vigorous and very, very rigorous, the designation of a national school and district of character. This is a very big deal. I am a board member of the state organization, which is an affiliate of the national organization that deals with character development. And I have to tell you, from working with many schools, many districts across the state, this is a very big thing for so many schools to have achieved this designation and to continue to work on it. I want to just tell you quickly, and I will not be very long, this started in 1999, and it was a project that was begun, sponsored, really thought out by Cherry Hill Zone PTA and a variety of teachers that joined with us to begin to talk about how we could, at that point, there were some issues with kids' behavior and how they treated one another, how we could really deal with that. And from that initial effort has grown this tremendous program that is very deeply embedded in most of the schools. We know that parents are always the very first character educators and continue to be, but schools are a vital part of that, particularly, and your discussion about the anti-racism and all of those efforts is very wonderful for me. But this character development deals also primarily with helping children develop the schools to deal with their deepest differences. And you know that our three values are respect, responsibility, and American citizenship. And we've never needed stronger emphasis on all of those things than we do now. I want to particularly thank Dr. Malash. I worked before I retired under 4 or 5 superintendents. They were all very supportive, but Dr. Malash brought this project home. And I want to publicly acknowledge him. He's been a wonderful leader and role model for this effort in our schools. I'm a citizen. I'm a longtime resident, and I thank all of you for making this happen for our children, who are our very, very most important people for our future. You know, they're 1/3 of the population,
Ms. Noyes.
100%.
There we go. Sorry. Okay, I don't see any other hands. Are there any written submissions, Ms. Sugars?
Yes, I do have a few, Mrs. Neary. First is from Tony Slowinski in Cherry Hill. When I was growing up in Cherry Hill, we had a pretty diverse population. I had Jewish friends. I was raised Catholic, Black friends, Asian friends, etc. We were all just that, friends. It was a great time to live here in Cherry Hill. I raised my children here. They all went to Cherry Hill Public Schools, and we were happy with the system at that time. Unfortunately, I'm seeing destruction of our core values taking place, and now I understand that critical race theory is being proposed in many of the Cherry Hill schools. I can't discourage this enough. as what this is going to install in our children is more division and shame. I am a white woman and never have I oppressed anyone. I have friends that are Black that are doing way better than we ever did. They have not been oppressed. What do you think this kind of thinking is going to accomplish? Other than just jumping on the bandwagon with the rest of the people pushing this garbage. Although I no longer have children in the system, I do have a grandson who in just a few short years will be entering into the public school system. I certainly do not want him growing up thinking that he somehow oppressed someone simply because of the color of his skin. Cherry Hill sticks to reading, writing, math, and real history. Our next one is from Jeffrey Potowitz. I'm gonna put the timer on this one because it's a bit lengthy. June 11th was Fair Funding Friday. Our Fair Funding Committee posted on Cherry Hill United that we could call our legislatures so our proposed direct state to education for next year of about 24.7 million, approximately $4 million than we received 30 plus years ago would not be cut. I read the standard statement from our Fair Funding Committee about the 24.7 million. I discussed capped and uncapped aid. We and our legislatures need to remember that according to SFRA formula now in place, we should be receiving 33 plus million this year. I always felt that one of the state's main motives for SFRA was to eliminate the Abbott district designation, thus decreasing the state's direct responsibilities for those districts. However, SFRA would never have passed by the legislature if significantly more influential communities were treated like we were 30 plus years ago when we had an immediate cut in direct state aid of education of 5.3 million from 20.5 million. As our student population continued to grow, our direct state aid continued to be cut to a low of approximately 10.4 million. To make sure SFRA passed the legislature, the state included so-called adjustment aid. SFRA passed. We now have former Abbott districts. So the state through legislation and state mandates can transfer costs that were previously paid by property tax relief fund, our income taxes, other state taxes onto our property taxes. This would be handled by the counties through what would be considered as a type of county school tax. I suppose piloted properties may not have to pay this because it is a type of school tax. I do not recall hearing or seeing district calculations for achievement gaps between students with disabilities and students that are neurotypical. Does the district administration have this data? Where is it posted? The enclosed PDF is a clinical focus published in the ASHA Journal Language, Speech, Hearing Services in School in 2020, authored by Dr. Carla McGregor, entitled How We Fail Children with Developmental Language Disorder. The estimated prevalence of DLD among school-age children is 7.58%. A conclusion is that expanded approach to support and identify these students are necessary. These approaches include communication with families, collaboration with classroom teachers, school language screenings, etc. Please read the PDF and provide it to classroom teachers. Thank you. And my final comment is from Alana Yaris. I am once again speaking about mailed public comment. I was happy to hear that the board discussed public comment being accepted in the form of email, but was disappointed with the end result. If a community member cannot sit through a meeting to have their voice heard, why are they being given a platform to have their voice be heard without accountability of attendance? The exact point I was trying to make with my comment was that some of the mailed comments are unnecessary if a participant on public comment attends and listens to the meeting. I am attending all the meetings and choosing to submit my public comment beforehand to prove a point. It seems that it was proven at the last meeting. Before the pandemic, I watched all the meetings in real time from my home and was never able to comment. Why has the pandemic made public comment different? You are allowing for people's voices and opinions to be heard from their homes. Why are you still allowing mailed public comment? It seems that the people who are submitting these public comments cannot be bothered to sit through a meeting like everyone else to speak and express concerns. Instead, they are taking the easy way out and submitting public comment via mail, and then going about their busyness and not attending the meeting. They do not view this as a top priority. and thus have found the easy way to comment and not be in attendance. This is unacceptable, and I'm once again asking the board to discontinue mailed, emailed public comment in favor of community members attending in person and sharing their thoughts. And that is the end of my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Sugars. Dr. Malash, did you have any other comments you wanted to make?
I do, Mrs. Neary, but before we do that, just checking on our agenda, it appears that there are 2 items from section 17, policy and legislation, that had originally appeared on the agenda. I'm not sure what happened to them electronically, that we discussed during the work session, that Mr. Green, I believe we could move
Yes, they could be moved now.
now.
Okay, they're not there. That's
I mean,
why I didn't read
technically they
them.
were
Apologies.
moved, but they weren't there.
All right, that,
Which I would move them again.
Okay, can we see which items? I don't see them, Dr. Malash, so.
yes, give me a second and I
Okay.
will. Let me just share, hold on a second.
I'm glad it wasn't just me. I am, my heart skipped a beat that I just missed 3 items.
No, you didn't, it's,
As you're missing the second reading.
yeah, the policies and
Yes.
the rename of the Berkeley Early Childhood.
Yeah.
Of course, it has to be the one time I move the P and L agenda, it's just missing.
All right, so Mrs. Neary, it's the 2 items that are on here. The second reading of policies would be 17.3. And it involves these 4 policies. Again, they were moved, and they were moved, but they were discussed during the work session on the 8th of the month. And then the second resolution was the renaming of the Barkley Early Childhood Center after Mrs. Estelle Malberg. This was also discussed at the June 8th session, and this would be number 17.4.
Okay, so I'll just note these and then we'll take another vote. It's these 3 here, committee meeting.
No, just, it's
Just
just the
these
2.
two?
Yeah,
Okay.
so on our agenda, they appeared as 17.3 and 17.4. This
Okay.
policy legislation was section 17 of tonight's agenda.
Okay, all right, I'll go ahead and move that now. So the superintendent recommends, and I move the following: item 17.3, second reading of policies, and 17.4, resolution for the renaming of Barkley Early Childhood Center. Do I have a second? Mr. Ovadia, are there any questions? Ms. Stern?
I just, in the discussion, was there any other discussion about other ways to recognize Mrs. Malberg?
On June 8th, not that I recall off the top of my head from that meeting, but
I apologize because I missed that meeting. I wasn't sure. Okay.
were there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Sugars?
I'm gonna do this manually, Mrs. Neary. So we're gonna start with Mrs. Stratton.
Yes.
Mrs. Matlack,
Yes to both.
Mr. Ovadia,
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz. Yes to all. Ms. Stern,
I just want to I'm sorry, I can't see the screen where the items were, but I need to abstain from the one that was discussed on June 8th since I missed the meeting.
so
17.4.
17.4.
Yes.
Okay. And Mrs. Neary.
Yes.
Very good. Other than the exception, motion carries.
Okay, great, thank you. Now, did you want to make your comments, Dr. Malash?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Neary.
Thank
There was
you.
not a whole lot of public comments. Again, thank you for the people that called in and sent in their comments. Ms. Noyes mentioned, our schools, and as she talked about, we talked about the board meetings. Cherry Hill, as we completed this year, all 19 of our schools have been identified as national schools of character. Our district has been identified as a national district of character. We're the largest district in the state, and one of the larger ones in the country to ever receive that designation for all 20 that were eligible. So thank you for the reminders. Congratulations to Mr. Yaris and the group that's been doing the kosher food meal distribution. I'm thrilled that they've also distributed 1 million meals. It even makes me happy that they finished 1 million meals before we did. So when you look at by the second week in July, that means that more than 2 million meals will have been distributed in our community in about 16 months. So thank you to everyone. There's been a tremendous number of volunteers that have been involved in doing that one. It's been our pleasure to host that in the parking lot over at Kilmer. They've been very gracious visitors week in and week out with what they've been able to provide to those members of our community. But I think that's it, Mrs. Neary.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, well, that brings us to our second executive session this evening. The board will meet in closed session at this time to discuss confidential matters pertaining to student matters, human resource matters, and legal matters. It is expected that matters discussed in closed session shall be made public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Do I have a second? Mrs. Stern. And yeah, I was just going to say that, and we will not be taking any action this evening. Okay, Ms. Stern is the second. All in favor? Okay, great. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.